Hi, everybody. Whew, get ready. It's hot. I am so not used to starting at 3 o'clock. This feels really weird for me. So, well, good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing okay. Nikki here at the North Canada Zoo, your community education specialist. Welcome to Zoo Classroom. If you haven't been here before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. Excited to see you. Get to see lots of smiling faces. I hope you guys will enjoy the time change. It'll take me a minute to adapt. Because, you know, I'm old and it takes a while for me to get used to things. But before we get started with the program, we'll go over those fun rules, as always. So first one, you guys probably noticed when you joined, you are muted, and you can't, your screen, your videos are also off. It's just easier for us, and it's a little safe, more secure that way to do it. But we do want you guys to interact with us. So I'm going to be asking you guys lots of questions and trying to get lots of answers from you guys. If you have any answers for me, put those in the chat box. If you have questions for us, put those in the Q&A box. Okay, makes sense. So questions I'm asking you, go in the chat. Questions you're wanting me, and I have a team here helping me. You got behind the scenes, and, you know, behind in virtual land and in the room with me too, that are helping me out today. So if you have questions for us, put those in the Q&A. All right, easy peasy. Let's get started. All right, you guys ready to travel? Because we're gonna go on a trip around the world and learn about some different animal habitats. Right? So, what is a habitat? Big fancy word. What does it mean? So put that in the chat box. What do you think a habitat means? So Miss Cindy is gonna, when she sees an answer, she's gonna yell it out and let me know.
A home for animals.
A home for animals. That's a good one. Anything else? Yes, that's another way of describing it.
A place where creatures live.
Where
animals live. Where something lives.
Where something lives. Yeah.
Animals' environment.
Oh, good word. Yeah. So kind of the home that the animal lives in. I like to think of it as a neighborhood. So a neighborhood that an animal lives in, and it's adapted, a fancy word, to be able to find the things they need to survive, right? So what are the things we all need to survive? Us as humans and all the animals you see behind us?
Well, Margaret was saying a habitat needs to be a place that offers food, water, and shelter for an animal.
Nice. You got it, Margaret. Perfect. That's it. Absolutely. So it's got to have a place where they're adapted to be able to get all those things. Perfect.
Wendy says air conditioning.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Wendy, very much. So if you're living in the desert, right?
Yeah.
Or in the summertime. We would all die. I know I would. I don't do well in the heat anymore. So, right, that's perfect. So that's all habitat is. So what are some kinds of habitats? So in that chat box, name some different habitats that you can think of.
Teresa says a couch.
Oh, that's my kind of habitat. I agree with you.
So deserts, jungle, forest, ocean, grasslands, terrestrial, aquatic, desert, trees, caves.
Right.
Nice.
Lots of them. Yeah, I like that. Some of them are really big. Some habitats can be small, right? Can anybody think of a small habitat?
Fish tank.
Fish tank.
An anthill.
An anthill.
A hole in the ground.
A hole in the ground.
A nest.
Uh-huh.
Under a rock.
Under a rock. Yep. Absolutely.
And a mouse nest. Caves.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you a really small habitat. Everybody, go ahead and put your finger right here. Side of your nose. Okay? Touching a habitat. I have to break to you guys. Your face is a habitat. No, you guys are going to get nightmares. You're welcome. So we have these things called face mites. They're very, very, very tiny, microscopic animals. And to me, they're like, they're cleaning up our face. They're eating the dead skin on our faces. So they have an important job keeping us exfoliated. So your face can be a habitat. So this just goes to show that anywhere can be a habitat, because that's where they are finding food, water, and shelter. Until we wash our face, then the shelter's not so great, right? So yeah, so any place can be a habitat. Let's see. Let's go with our first friends here. Get my projectable
I'm getting lots of yucks and oohs.
I know.
about
It does
that
sound.
habitat, yeah.
Yep, I know. That's what I was going for. So, our next friends. Somebody actually mentioned, when we were listing habitats, they actually mentioned their habitat, which most people don't think of. Let's see if you're going to be chilling. Maybe they like to move around. Let me know how that looks. Good?
It's good from here.
All right. So this is a giant cave cockroach, which means, what do you think their habitat is? They're a giant cave cockroach. Where do they live?
Caves,
There you
Natalie
go.
says.
Absolutely.
Hayden says his room.
Well, you might want
Not. Yeah, caves all around.
Right.
Caverns and caves.
Absolutely. So they find, what do you guys think? So they have to find all the things they need to survive. So what kind of food do you think they can find in a cave? You get his back side. You get his best side. He's turned his back to you.
One guess of flies,
Maybe.
rotten fruit, dirt, bugs, other bugs,
Yeah.
insects,
Yeah.
plants.
Okay. We're getting there. We're getting warmer. Those are all very good guesses. You definitely would find those. But there's also another animal that lives in caves. It might be hanging up on the ceilings of caves.
Oh, bats.
Bats, right. And bats do a lot of pooping. And so this is actually, that is their food. Their food source is bat poop.
Bat poop.
Yeah.
So Jennifer would like to know, why do they live in a cave?
Well, what do you guys think? Why do you think? So remember, they have to find 3 things they need to survive. They have the food, water, and shelter. What do you guys think? Does a cave offer that for them? I'm going to get a little active before I drop them. I don't want to do that. Here you go, sweetie. Here, I'll bring the...
Well, there's a food source
Stew.
there.
Right, a good food source. Do you think they're going to have a lot of competition? Do you think a lot of other animals are in there eating bat poop? Probably not, right? They don't really like to share that food source very much, so there's plenty of food in there for them.
Right. And there's plenty of shelter in a
Right.
cave.
Absolutely, so that they keep them safe, and probably those bats there are helping keep other animals out too. And so that's so it's a pretty good place. They're safe, plenty of food, lots of water. And they probably get water from the food that they eat because poop is watery sometimes. So yeah, so that's why they would absolutely choose to live in a cave. It's a pretty safe place. And if you notice the coloration, you think they'd be pretty easy to see in a dark cave, on the floor of a dark cave. And you can barely see them on the floor of their travel
Right.
container.
They're saying nope.
Right.
Good camouflage. in a cave.
Excellent camouflage, right. So pretty cool. So that's definitely a really good habitat for them. So caves give them everything they need. Protection, shelter, and lots of food and water. And so caves are a really good habitat, actually. Pretty good safe habitat. But you have to be adapted, right? So bats that live in the caves, because it's dark, what do they use to get around and find food? So what adaptation does a bat have to be able to get around in a dark cave?
Sound. Echolocation.
There you go. Echolocation, right? Absolutely.
And
So perfect.
we have a couple of, one person who's wanting to know, do they hop or fly?
So they can actually fly. So they can walk very quickly. So these guys are sometimes a little bit high, like my Madagascar and St. Cockroach, because they kind of sit and chill. They move around pretty quickly, but they have the ability to fly. They don't do it very often, but they can. So they have wings, as you saw that kind of that outer, I'll show you again. So they do have wings. So the parts that kind of sitting on top, kind of the clear part, those are their wings. So yes, they can fly. But like I said, they don't do it very often. I don't think I've ever seen one of these guys fly yet that I've worked with. Cross, knock on wood.
2 more questions. Do they have predators? Do they bite?
So predators, yes, absolutely. Pretty much anything that, you know, decides to go in a cave, maybe a bat would eat them sometimes, who knows. They are the largest cockroach in the world, so that would be a pretty big bat to eat them for one thing. But probably other animals would come in the caves and, you know, and could find other mammals or anything that lives in that area. They obviously go in and eat them, but they're a good size. I mean, a big bird, things like that. So yeah. What was the last question? I'm sorry, forget. Oh, brain is retained.
Do they no, predators and what was the other one? Do they bite?
Yeah. Oh, do they bite? I'm sure they could. But like I said, they eat poop, which is not very hard. So that I don't think they have very strong mouth parts. Never been bitten by one, so I'm not 100% sure. But I'm sure they could if they wanted to, and it'd probably just be a little pinch. But I don't think it would hurt.
We do have one additional question.
Yeah.
Do they need to be in caves?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think they could survive. We don't feed ours that food that we have here. So they could adapt and live in other areas, but that's just, they're preferred because it's easier, because it's a, you know, an easy food source that they have. But if all of a sudden the bats disappeared and there was no more food, I'm sure they would learn to move elsewhere and find other food source, because we feed ours like dead decaying plants. So that's also what they would feed them too. So yeah, so they don't have to, it's just for them. That's what they're kind of adapted to. But I think they could easily adapt to another situation if they had to. Good questions, guys. Okay, all right. So habitats can be big, they can be small, and we learn adaptations, right? A lot of animals have different adaptations for living in these different habitats. So I want you guys to help me out for a minute. I have some animals that lost their homes. You're gonna help me out. Get my stuff together. All right, Megan, or somebody, if you guys could pick up, and we're gonna come over here. I'm gonna show this.
Oh, that's a bit wobbly.
There we go. All right. So you notice I have 4 habitats here. I've got the Arctic, I've got a forest, I've got an ocean, and I have the desert. Okay? So just by looking at our animals and stuff you know about some of these animals, tell me which habitat they belong in. Okay, so we will start with, I'm just gonna randomly pick out an animal. All right, which habitat does our camel belong in?
Desert.
All right, there we go, nice job. We'll do a consensus. All right, so we all agree, desert, right.
That's all I'm seeing is lots of deserts.
Let's go
Oh, I'm
with
seeing some dessert.
dessert. I want to see dessert. How about our gorilla friend?
I see forest, rainforest, forest. Lots of
All right.
rainforest, jungle.
I think we got a consensus. We'll go with the forest. All right, let's go with, this one should be easy.
How about the Arctic? Arctic everywhere.
It says it in the name, right? Absolutely.
Tundra.
That's easy. Oh, tundra, good one. Nice. Good word. Let's go with black bear.
Forest all the way around. Everyone thinks
Run,
of forest.
forest, run. All right, we'll go to forest.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with a sidewinder. Ooh.
Desert. Everyone's thinking desert.
Nice, dessert. Here we go, dessert.
Yeah.
Yay.
Wait for dessert.
Nice. How about, let's see. This one might be a little tricky. Ooh, from the puffin.
Guessing Arctic, ocean.
Arctic,
There's one
ocean.
ocean, a couple of Arctics. There's an Africa, there's Arctic and islands, forest, Arctic.
But this is a
Never
tough one.
say an Arctic.
Okay. They can go actually kind of in between. I'm going to kind of see if I can put them in between. Because they're seabirds, so they live in the ocean, but they're adapted for cold ocean water. So they're kind of a little mix of both.
I see in Alaska specifically.
Nice. So this particular horned puffin, nice job, is Alaska. We have Atlantic puffins that we would find, actually, sometimes people have seen them off the coast of North Carolina. Let's go, this one should be easy. Oh, ocean.
Ocean, ocean, ocean.
Yeah, there we go.
Ocean, ocean, ocean.
Nice. Okay. How about, whoops, cover the name.
Let's see. Desert. We're seeing deserts everywhere for that guy.
All right, more desserts. Yay, desserts. This one should be another easy one.
Wow.
That
That one was a struggle.
was a tough one. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. And
Polar
then,
region, I get.
That's good.
Oh, the barred owl. Forest. Everyone thinks forest, forest, forest for that guy.
nice, right. You guys got it. Nice job. You nailed it. Right. And was it easy? For some of them are pretty easy, right? You could tell right away where they're adapted. Yeah, different adaptations. Like if you look, what is kind of the adaptation to live in the Arctic? What do you notice right away? What do the polar bear and the Arctic fox have in common?
Well, they're all white. White fur, their color.
Absolutely. White fur and a white habitat.
Big
Absolutely.
warm coats.
Warm coats. All right, what about our forest friends? So the owl, the black bear, and the gorilla. What do they kind of have in common? You notice about
Forest colored.
right, exactly. Kind of the browns and the blacks,
Browns and blacks.
right? And sometimes splotchy.
Yeah.
Ocean animals, pretty easy, right? So this one, I'm going to stick them on the ocean for now. What about the desert? What do they have in common?
Sand colored.
Exactly. They're all kind of like a brownish tan color.
sandy.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll kind of delve in a little bit more about these animals. So if you want to move this back. Nice job, guys. That was awesome. All right. Hey, they all found their homes. Yay. So let's start with the ocean. See if you guys can guess what this is. What animal is this?
Gabriel.
It's a good guess. Definitely can see how you see that because they have that long kind of pointed.
Alligator.
Wow. Sorry, I'm going on vacation next week, so I think my brain's already there. So
Alligator crocodiles.
Oh my God.
And lots and lots of dolphin.
right, it is a dolphin, and a lot of people guess that it is a crocodile or something like that because of the long nose and all those teeth. You think everyone thinks, oh, dolphins are so sweet. Oh my goodness, look at all those teeth.
That's
And they have
lopsided.
there's a better one right there. Look at all those teeth. And so what are their adaptations for living in?
That dolphin doesn't like you.
What adaptations do dolphins have for living in the ocean? Oh, you tell me to teach this because my brain's gone, guys. Any adaptations you can think of?
Well, Natalie's guessing that dolphins eat seaweed, but
Seaweed? Okay. Well, let's look at those teeth. If you guys have joined me before, we've looked at teeth a lot, and teeth tell you a lot about what they eat. So is this animal a meat eater or a plant eater? What do you think? We're looking at all those pointy, sharp teeth.
oh, definitely meat eater.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
they
And
have
specifically,
fish.
what kind of meat? So living in the ocean, they like to eat
Fish.
fish, right?
Fish everywhere for their sharp teeth.
Right. This is good for hanging on those slimy fish,
Yeah,
right?
there's some biting teeth,
Catchy.
according to Krista.
Yep. Biting and catching, so and holding on to them because fish do move and flop around and are slimy, so it helps to be able to catch those. So how do they find the fish? What do they use?
Echolocation, says Laura.
Nice, right? So a lot of people don't guess that this is a dolphin because most of the time when you see a dolphin, this is what you usually see, right? The nose is really, really short. See that really short nose? So right here is all you would see. You see that? Oops, it's a little blur. Yeah. So from here up is kind of that big, what we call a melon. So this part right here. And that's what they use to kind of find their food. So they send up those squeaks and noises and it goes out, it bounces off a fish, it comes back. Actually, they send out the noise through this. It's a fatty area, it's called the melon. They send out those noises out through there. It comes back and actually hits their lower jaw, and it tells them what they're hearing, like how far away stuff is and where the fish is, how many fish are there, is it a big fish, a little fish, all that good stuff. So it gives them lots of information so they know where to go. So that echolocation or sonar is perfect for finding their food. Yeah, we have a question?
Oh, we have about 3 questions.
Okay.
Someone wants to know, will they attack people? How can dolphins breathe out of water? And is this dolphin a dolphin skull a bottlenose dolphin?
It is a bottlenose dolphin, and it's a fake skull, so it's a plastic replica. How do they breathe out of water? Because they are, what kind of animal? Are they a bird? Are they a fish? Are they a reptile, amphibian, or a mammal?
They're mammals.
They are mammals, right?
Everyone knows
As
it.
all mammals, we have to breathe through using our lungs, right? So they have to come up, they'll breathe in water. They have to come up to the surface to breathe. And so that's what these are.
They use a blowhole.
Right, so they have their blowholes right there. So they can come up and take a breath. So that's why it's up here. So they don't have to come all the way out. They can just, just tuck their head up and then go back down. Take a breath. So that's how they breathe. What was the other question?
Will they,
Ooh, oh my God.
Will they attack people, I believe is the other question.
Sometimes I have heard stories of it. Just like with any animal, if you annoy it or do something threatening to it, they're going to defend themselves. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So don't annoy a dolphin. The world of that story.
Huh.
But for the most part, I don't. This doesn't happen a lot.
Do they lose their teeth?
I do believe they can. I want to say yes. That they can lose their teeth and grow new ones back in. But I'm actually not 100% sure about that.
Google.
My Googlers out there, maybe they can help answer that question. I'm not 100% sure. I guess I am not an expert on everything. That's why I have a team of smart people helping me out and be able to look stuff up. And you guys can do that too. I mean, that's what I love. Nowadays, you guys are live with instant gratification. You can find any answer you want online, which is pretty awesome. Did not have that when I was growing up. I actually had to open a book called an encyclopedia. No. Oh, it's okay. Things are falling back here. Hopefully they didn't scare anybody. Okay, so ocean, back to ocean. So dolphins. Ooh, got what about? Anyone want to guess what animal this is from?
Seals, leopards, snakes, cats.
We're still in the ocean, guys.
Seals are sea lions?
Right. This is a seal, though. This is a harbor seal. We have here at the zoo. And my favorite thing, does it look like, did you guys realize how seals have hair? The seals have hair. What do you guys think? If you were to pet this, would you feel hair on them? What do you guys think?
We thought they only had skin.
Right, something with skin. Right, they have very, very short hair. Let's see if I can get close up of it.
Yes, but
Yeah, that's
black hair.
Right, so they're super, super short hairs. And it's stiff. So it's not really used for keeping them warm. So what do they have? What is their adaptation for keeping themselves warm? What do they have other than really thin fur to keep them warm?
Blubber, blubber,
There you
blubber.
go. Blubber, blubber, blubber. The blubber absolutely helps keep them warm. So the hair is mostly to help them stay kind of streamlined because it actually runs, so it lays flat from the head towards the tail. So when I run my hand over it this way, it's nice and smooth, but if I go backwards, it's like if you haven't shaved your legs in a while. You're running backwards. Not that I would know what that is. So yeah, so it's very kind of rough. It feels like. So they're streamlined. So their fur sits backwards. So as they swim through the water and it goes flat, and it makes them super streamlined so they can zip through the water. So they're like little torpedoes flying through the water. So very well adapted. What did they use? Sorry, I'll get you some. to find their food. Let me give you a hint. It's coming at you.
Whiskers?
Right, whiskers.
Nose?
Right. So whiskers mostly. So they use their nose mostly for breathing and getting air, but the whiskers are super, super, super sensitive. It's almost like the echolocation. So they can feel vibrations in the water and they hit those whiskers and it lets them know. So if you come to the zoo and you watch our harbor seals, some of them they'll swim around their home with their eyes closed and upside down and they don't run into anything. And so just by using their whiskers, they can sense their world. So very amazing adaptation, which is pretty cool. Okay. So we had
We did have a few questions about
sorry.
those.
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
do they sleep?
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're talking about the seal.
Yeah. So a lot of times when I see them, a lot of times they're just floating around and they'll kind of take short naps as they're just kind of floating around the water. You'll see them with their eyes closed and you just see their back fin just going like this. And they just kind of swim. And it makes me go, I want to take a nap right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they do take naps. And sometimes they'll kind of haul out the water too and kind of rest that way too. Especially with the sea lions, they like to do that.
Do they migrate from place to place?
Harbor seals, I do believe they do. I don't think they migrate as much as other seals because they tend to be. They're probably one of the most common seals we have, but I'm not 100% sure about that one. That's a good question for our Googling team. My Googlers.
The last question about the seals is, do people usually kill these animals for their fur?
They used to, a lot of like the whaling industry and like that used to actually the baby ones because their fur was a lot thicker, and a lot softer, and a lot more, wearable, I guess you could say. So yeah, they did used to kill young seals. Do believe that's illegal now. They are protected, so that does not happen anymore. Hopefully, yeah, legally anyway. So that happens. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah. All right, moving on.
Yep.
This is my favorite. I used to work with these guys, so we talked for a long time about them. So we met the puffin, kind of falls in the ocean and the Arctic, right? So they live. This horned puffin lives in Alaska on the Aleutian Islands, which are the island chain, kind of in southern Alaska. So it's cold and it's wet. So these guys have some pretty amazing adaptations. What do you guys think? What would be some adaptations for living in the ocean? Surviving in the ocean, where it's cold and wet. I mentioned that. Is it cold and wet there? I don't know if I mentioned that, right?
Flippers, not wings.
Right. Well, you're thinking this. I understand where you're getting that. So penguins, their wings have turned into flippers, and they use those. But puffins actually can still fly. So they still have wings, and they can still fly, but they actually use their wings kind of like flippers. So they literally fly underwater. So if you come to our zoo and you watch the puffins fly, and they go swim, they go underwater, they use their wings, and they look like bats underwater, and they fly underwater using their wings.
Waterproof feathers and
Waterproof.
maybe fat layers underneath their feathers.
Absolutely. So
Keep them warm.
puffins are chubby. They look chubby. They look fluffy because they do have a layer of fat, and then they have. Let's see. I'm gonna watch this. So I'm gonna dig my finger in and get through all the feathers till I get down in. So look how far I had to go in.
That's a thick layer.
So a thick layer of feathers. So puffins and actually even penguins actually have the most feathers per square inch, especially your Arctic penguins have the most feathers per square inch on the body, so they can survive in that cold weather. So puffins are pretty close behind. So super thick layer of feathers, nice layer of fat, and feathers are waterproofed, absolutely. And they spend most of the year out in the ocean. They only come to land to lay eggs, so they're pretty good at just swimming and floating. So really cool adaptations that they have.
We did have a question. How long do penguins spend underwater?
Penguins? Good question. I know puffins can stay under probably for around a minute or so. They can dive down to about 200 feet. Want to say something like that? Remember? It's been a while. Numbers don't stick in my head like they used to. But yeah, not quite as far as a penguin does. But a penguin probably could stay down. Be my guess would be a couple minutes. So not a huge amount of time, but certainly longer than we can.
How do they keep their babies warm?
Oh, good question. So they come to land and they will make a burrow deep down kind of in the cliff ledge, and they lay one egg. And when the chick hatches, it's covered in little black, or excuse me, kind of gray down feathers. So they already are covered in feathers, which keeps them warm. And then mom and dad sit on them and take turns keeping the baby warm until he grows in his adult feathers, like that. So yeah, so they kind of help each other out.
Also, someone wanted to know if your friend over there is real.
He was, yes. So that was, he was actually a young one that passed away. I'm not sure why, but we sent it to the museum and they preserved and stuffed it so this way they can continue to live on, because a live puppet would not let you dig in and feel those feathers. So this is their kind of way of still being able to live on as an ambassador species, which I think is pretty awesome. So yeah, sad for them, but you know, not everything lives forever, right? Things do pass away, and it does happen.
Are their feathers waterproof?
They are, absolutely. So, and that's why if you come and watch the puffins, you'll see them constantly like playing with their feathers. Either they're in the pool, it looks like they're having a seizure. They're just flapping around, and they feel like they're drowning, and they're bathing. If they're not, they're bathing. And then you'll see them kind of biting at their feathers with their beak, and they're kind of making sure their feathers are waterproof. So they're making sure they're nice and clean and aligned, and everything's in place to keep them waterproof. So they'll stay nice and warm and dry. All right, you guys have some really good questions.
So one more last question.
Yes, okay.
Wendy wanted us to answer, what do they eat?
Oh, what do you guys think? They live in the ocean. What do they eat? What are they adapted to eating?
Fish.
Right.
Lots of fish.
Lots of fish.
Fish, fish, fish.
So you look at that beak, and I've been bitten by puffins, and I can attest it's a very strong beak. And it's a very powerful beak, and they will carry, so they'll go out, especially when they're having babies, they will go out and catch quite a few fish, and they'll carry them back in that beak. I can put up to like 10 little fish in their beak, and they'll carry them back to feed their babies. So yeah, you know, feed themselves first and then carry them back to feed their babies. But yeah, so that beak is well adapted for catching slimy fish.
Just a note, Melanie Googled for us that emperor penguins can stay down underwater for 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you. That's awesome. See, I love learning things too. 20 minutes. That's crazy. I never would have thought it was that long. Nice. Yay. Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate that. All right, so we're moving on to the Arctic. What adaptation? Well, what animal do you think this is? I should tell you.
That's a polar bear.
There you go.
Polar bear, polar bear, polar
Right,
bear.
we got a polar bear, right? And they have amazing adaptations. What adaptations do they have for finding food, water, and shelter in the Arctic, where it sometimes gets minus 40 degrees, 40 below zero? Could you imagine? Even colder than that sometimes. So what do you guys think?
Well, they have thick fur.
Thick fur, absolutely. Anything else? Anything under that fur? Think like the seals do.
So fat and blubber.
Right, absolutely. Sometimes they can get to like 4 inches of fat under there to keep them nice and warm for the winter. What color is their hair?
White. It's white. It's, oh, I have one clear
Ah,
and lots of whites.
lots of whites. Oh, I see another clear.
Yeah, a see-through.
Nice. Right. It's actually, it looks white, but each hair is actually clear. Think about this as a snowflake. So one individual snowflake is what color?
Clear.
It's clear, right? What happens when you put a bunch of snowflakes together? What color does it look?
Oh, then it's white.
Yeah, there you go. So it's kind of similar idea here. light reflecting and all that fancy science stuff that I'm not going to get into because I don't know how to explain it. To be honest with you. So, right. So, clear hair. And then, does anybody know what color is the skin of a polar bear?
Their skin is black, 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 and black.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see if you guys can get a good picture of that.
Cool. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, black skin and clear hair. Why black skin? What do you guys think? Why would you have black skin if you live in the Arctic?
For warmth?
Right, absolutely. So, have you guys ever been out and sat in the sun and you had a black shirt on? What happens to that shirt?
It helps absorb the sun's rays.
Right, it absorbs heat. So black absorbs heat. So that's why they kind of want to help something that absorbs it. But they also want to be able to camouflage and hide too, right? So pretty cool adaptation right there. Yeah.
Okay, so somebody wants to know, why do they have so much fur?
Why do you think? Where do they live? What type of environment do they live in?
To stay warm because they are in the Arctic.
Exactly.
They need the insulation.
Absolutely. So having lots of blubber and thick fur, it's going to help them stay warm in negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever it is. Right. Now you got to think about it, guys. They have to get around on their habitat, and it's snow and ice. So what kind of adaptations do they have there? What do you think?
Well, also their fur helps with waterproof too.
Right. Yeah.
And they have big paddling paws
Absolutely.
and sharp claws to grip the ice.
Absolutely.
Huge paws.
Huge paws with sharp claws. And if you notice, everybody look at your hands. Do you guys have hair between your hands, your fingers? No. They do. Right? So having furry feet and thick furry feet, I should say. Big. I mean, I have big hands, but not even close to that. And the back foot is actually usually bigger. So this is a front foot. The back foot is usually a lot bigger. So amazing adaptation for you to walk around on the ice and snow. Let's see, another Arctic friend. I'm just afraid that he's going to lose some hair. He always sheds whenever I bring him out. Does anyone want to guess what animal is this gorgeous?
Arctic fox.
Nice, Arctic fox, right. So they have some amazing adaptations. Do they look like that all year round? I should say, do they look at this all year round? No, no, right? What happens in the summertime? Does anybody know what Arctic fox does in the summertime?
They shed
Absolutely.
and they turn kind of a brown.
Right. So they kind of go a little gray. Aww, so cute. And less fur, right? So they don't need as much fur in the summertime. So less fur and a better camouflage, right? So that's a pretty cool and remarkable adaptation that animals can do that, change the color of their fur. And then they have to be able to find their mat. Let's say it's, there's like 5 feet of snow or several feet of snow, and they have to be able to find a mouse, which is running around underneath the snow, and be able to get to it. How do you think they know where that mouse is? Or that lemming, or whatever the small mammal is they're hunting?
Good sense of smell.
Good sense of smell, and
Hearing is very acute.
hearing, right. So they will kind of hear it more than anything. They might smell it a little bit, but mostly it's going to be their hearing. And they'll be listening, and they hear it, and then when they hear that mouse, they will jump up in the air, and then they go head first into the snow and try to grab that mouse. If you ever watch videos of it, you can Google that and find some fun videos of Arctic foxes.
Yep.
Those
Some of our
first.
guests have seen them diving into the snow.
Yep, that's pretty awesome. So it's a pretty cool adaptation. Let's see. Let's go to the forest. Meet this guy. Ooh.
Ape.
Yes,
Gorilla,
ape.
gorilla, gorilla.
There you go. Oh, you know the scientific name.
Gorilla, Right.
Right. So it is a gorilla, right? And What do they eat? How do they find their food? This is one we look at teeth a lot of time to tell us what they eat, but this is one of the that kind of fools us. So you look here.
So I guess eat bugs.
A lot of people think that gorillas are meat eaters because they have these big, giant canines.
But no, they're
Okay.
vegetarians,
Exactly.
according to a lot of our
Right.
friends.
Yep, they might eat an occasional bug, insect or so here, but for the most part, they're eating plants. And so these are more for social things. So if you had an animal coming at you with those big teeth, are you going to be a little bit more afraid of them? Better way to protect themselves and be able to communicate with other members.
Yes.
I'm big and scary, leave me alone, right? So that's more of a communication thing. So yeah, so not necessarily for catching and killing other animals. So what adaptation, where do gorillas sleep? Let me know.
I don't know that, but they eat their poop. According to him.
They do, yep, they do practice carpophaging. Fancy word, did you know there was one?
Okay, so somebody wants to ask, do they eat fruit?
Oh yeah, they'll eat fruit, lots of leaves and plants and all that kind of stuff, but mostly it's green vegetation. So yeah, our gorillas get a lot of green vegetation.
So there's cases
Occasional
that they
fruit,
sleep in trees.
They, a little bit, not as much, because they are so big. So if they can find a big tree, they might. But for the most part, they tend to stay on the ground. And so they, and then here's I like this kind of cool. You can see their hand. It's just massive. It's pretty cool. So these are really good for gathering nesting materials. So in the picture you guys saw, what they'll do is they will actually kind of stand in one spot and they'll pull all the leaves and vegetation around them and they make a nest every night. They go and they find a spot, they kind of push all the vegetation around, squish it down and add some more, make a nice little nest. And the next day they get up, go foraging, and then wherever they are, they stop, do the same thing. So they make a new nest every night. So they tend to be on the ground mostly, but they utilize all those plants and stuff that are down on the ground from those trees in the forest. And you think they're easy to find in the forest? Just ask Diane Fossey.
You say that?
Or Richard Burtle.
No, they're hard to find.
Right, I do believe our director of our section, he studies cross-river gorillas, and I think he said he's only seen them, I don't know, maybe once. So he's been studying them for years. So they're very secretive, very hard to find. They're very good camouflage. So mostly it's signs that they're seen. Yeah.
So do they get along with humans?
Gorillas, I wouldn't say they get along, but they're probably a little bit more tolerant to people than other great apes. To me, they're kind of the gentle giants. I would much rather come across a gorilla than a chimp. So yeah, but that is a good question.
Okay. Are they related to monkeys?
So they are not monkeys. They are great apes or apes, and there is a difference because great apes are missing something that monkeys have. You guys usually notice with monkeys.
A tail.
Long tail, right? Chimps, gorillas, what else am I missing? I'm just totally dribbling. Orangutans, thank you.
And gibbons.
And gibbons, right? No tails, right? And they just tend to be a lot bigger and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so definitely not monkeys.
But they are still primates.
They are primates, right? Primates is kind of a big umbrella word, which includes your monkeys, your great apes,
Your mom.
and lemurs. All the different primates. I like to call them primates.
There he is.
I'm a bird person, so I'm not a primate person. All right, so our next friend has a lot of cool adaptations for living in the forest. And you might have met her, but she's still just as awesome. Get her food ready. All right, so just bear with me. Take a minute. Hey, sweetie, how are you? Oh, good girl. Good girl, Miss Tara.
That was nice.
All right, hope you don't-
Do I need to
She was a little bit nervous earlier. She did great. She came right up to me. She made her choice to come out and do all that. But she was just a little bit nervous earlier. So So hopefully she'll stay calm.
Nikki, do I need to cut this out?
Oh,
I think
everyone's
she's
loving
doing
her.
okay right now. So we'll see how she does. Give her a minute to relax. I'll give her a treat for being good. What do you see? Oh, you eyeing my cockroaches? We cannot eat those.
A little bit.
There you go. That's your food. You don't get to eat the cockroaches. Sorry, sweetie. They're not your food. Give her some treats for being such a good girl. How's she looking at you? Can we see her? Come a little closer. We have a microphone right above. And sometimes it kind of makes her a little bit nervous. So I'm trying to go really slow. And she's really got her eye on the cockroaches. Not even thinking like it. She's like, I want those roaches. I don't want this food. So this is Tara. And does anybody know what kind of owl she is? If you guys have joined us before, you might have met her before. Let's see if you guys remember.
Lots of guesses of a barn owl, but then barred owl.
Barred owl. Nice job. So there are barn owls and barred. Barn as in like where the cows live. Or barred like she has barring on her belly. So B-A-R-R-E-D. So she is a barred owl. And she's got those beautiful barns, which is that an adaptation for living in the forest? What do you guys think? How will that help her to survive in the forest?
They are thinking. Still thinking.
Still thinking? Well, imagine her sitting in a tree.
Yes, they do.
Right. If she was sitting in a tree up against the tree trunk, do you think you'd be able to see her?
Leanna says the stripes make the feathers look like tree bark.
Exactly. Right. Good observation. Nice job. Right. So amazing camouflage. So having all those kind of spots and stripes, because when you walk through the forest, if you look, the sunlight is coming through leaves. There's dark spots, light spots, and like that. So if you have different colorations and various colorations, that's going to help you camouflage. So that's why you see a lot of animals have that kind of spotted colorings. Question?
Yes, somebody wants to know, is her left eye damaged?
Oh, that's good observation that you saw that. So yes, so Miss Tara is missing her right eye.
Left for them.
Right,
but
left,
yeah.
no. So her right eye. So Miss Tara, so we have a hospital here at the zoo. So if somebody finds an injured wild animal, they can bring it to the hospital. It's unfortunately it's closed to the public right now because of COVID. But normally, when we're COVID free, they can bring in wild animals, they fix them up and try to put them back in the wild. And so Miss Tara came in 2002. And so she came to the hospital and she had a wing injury and an eye injury. I think probably hit by a car, because that happens to a lot of birds of prey. Because unfortunately, they have learned to hunt by the sides of roads. Because people, when they're driving down the road, after eating their McDonald's or banana, apple, whatever it is, they toss it out the window. And that apple core, even though it will break down and eventually go away, it will attract little mice and small mammals. And then who wants to hunt those mice and small mammals? Right. So Miss Tara. So a lot of our birds of prey, hawks and owls, have kind of learned to hunt by the side of the road because that's where there's a lot of food there. A lot of mice and lots of rodents and stuff like that. And so they get hit by cars a lot. So, moral of the story, trash in your car, guys. And tell your friends, and tell them to tell their friends, and spread it around so that everybody knows, keep the trash in so that we can save a beautiful owl like this. So she came into the hospital with the eye injury, the wing injury, and we try to test them, make sure to see if they can catch their own food, and catch live food, and be able to survive before we release them. And Miss Tara couldn't pass. So she was not able to hunt and be able to catch her food. So we made a decision to keep her, and we've been working with her ever since. Because she is a wild bird. And look how calm she is around us, and I think she enjoys coming out and seeing people. Right, don't you? Yes.
So somebody else wants to know, what all food will she eat?
So in the wild, barred owl will eat just about anything they can catch and carry off. They're not picky at all. They'll eat mice, rodents, frogs, small snakes, other owls, other birds, pretty much anything. They're not terribly picky. So today she is getting a little mixture of mice and chick. So she's got a little mix of both. And we cut it up into smaller pieces. That way I can continue to reward her for being calm and being a good girl. And so this is a positive experience for her. Any questions here?
So somebody wants to know, does it hurt to hold her, or does the glove protect the arm from the owl's grip?
So yes, so right now she doesn't have a big grip, a strong grip on me. So that tells me that she's calm. But if she got scared or made her nervous, she could grip. And those are her killing tools. And so that's why I wear the glove, just in case she decides, oh, I'm scared. Protects my hand. It does, absolutely. But right now she doesn't really have much of a grip on her, just enough to kind of hold her up. But like I said, that's how I can tell by her behaviors and the grip on the glove. If she's feeling calm, if she's doing okay, if she's getting really nervous, that would my cue. Okay, she needs to go back home and take a break. But she's doing pretty good. She's definitely eyeing either the cockroaches or her pocket of food, her pouch of food. Yeah. Any other questions about this, Sarah?
You want to know how old?
How old? So I told you she came to the zoo in 2002. You tell me, how long has that been? I'll make you guys do math. So I don't have to. We got a little something in this here.
Save it for later.
So she's over 18 years old.
Yes. And definitely, we guess probably 20-ish, somewhere in there, because when she was an adult when she came in, so she could be anywhere from 19 to 22. We don't really know. So we're saying around 20-ish.
We did have someone wondering how long they can live.
So in the wild, 10 to 15 years is pretty good. In human care, in her 20s, she hopefully, well, we're hoping upper 20s, keep our fingers crossed. Because she gets free food, she doesn't have to worry about cars except for riding in them. And, you know, she's got health care, free health care, free food. So she's got a pretty good life. And we treat her like the queen that she is, because we love Miss Tara. Good questions. I'm going to put her back. You guys can keep asking those questions. Thank you, Miss Tara. Appreciate that. I'm going to ask her to go in her kennel. Tara, kennel up. Good girl. So as you can tell, that took a lot of training to get her to, it's always her choice. We always ask her to do things, whether she does it or not, it's her choice. If she doesn't want to do it, then I'm going to have an owl on my hand for the rest of the day. So it is all it is. But we've made the kennel such a positive place for her that she doesn't mind being in there. In fact, she kind of feels safe in there sometimes. Oops, I'm sorry, dear. Total tease. Step. Oh, that's a big one.
Wendy says bye, Tara.
Hi, Tara. She's awesome. She's a good girl. All right, I'm just going to pick up the piece of meat. All right, so another adaptation that owls have, I just wanted to compare these. So, because she's flying around through the forest, I'm going to compare these two wings. You notice this is an owl wing here. It's kind of shorter, more roundish, right? So that she can fly through the forest. Because if you had big wings like this, you'd be snapping your wings on trees left and right, right? So it's very helpful to have kind of shorter, rounder wings to be able to fly through the forest, which is another cool adaptation. Whew, there's one here. Okay. What time is it?
Oh, real quick.
3:54. Okay.
Somebody wants to know if those are real wings.
They are, right. So remember how I said we have a lot of animals that get injured in the wilds, get hit by a car, that come into a rehab center? Those are unfortunately ones that didn't survive. So Tara survived, but she could have been released. These guys did not survive. But this is, again, just like that puffin, this is their way of being able to live on. Because normally if you were in person, I would encourage you to touch owl wings because they're so soft. They have the softest feathers ever. So yes, very, very soft. Okay, last habitat, guys, really quick. I had to put this in because we're so excited. This is a desert. We're in the desert now.
Aww.
And we have a really cool announcement. This is our sand cat, Najma.
Yeah.
Can I do Najma?
Yeah.
And her new baby.
No.
Look at that cuteness right there. Oh my god. That's adorable. So we're excited. So sand cats, of course, I had now to talk about for going to the desert. Sand cats. They have some pretty awesome adaptations for living in the desert. Can you see anything? What do you see to help them be able to survive in the desert? What do you guys think? Too much cuteness. I love
Yeah.
it. It really is.
We can't process
And even though it's
thoughts.
not a great picture, it's still, oh my god, it still conveys the cuteness. You're right.
So they have sand-colored fur.
Sand-colored fur, right? Absolutely. What do you notice? Are those maybe a little bit bigger than your normal house cat? A little bit compared to their size. They're smaller than a house cat, but they almost have the same size ears that a house cat would have. So
Yes, they
compared to their
do.
body,
Yep.
really big ears. And you'll find a lot of your desert animals have really, really big ears, whereas your Arctic animals have really, really short ears. That's for a reason. So if you're in the Arctic and you have really big pointy ears, your ears are going to get frostbitten. So you don't want big ears. Whereas in the desert, these act like little air conditioning units. So they help kind of disperse cool or warm air out of their body. So they get the warm air out of their body and help cool themselves off. So air conditioning units, big ears. My favorite thing about them, this is a footprint of a sand cat. It's the cutest thing ever.
Oh my gosh.
And it's hard to just, a lot of times when you see the footprints of cats, you'll see like the little pads and individual pads, but you can't because on a sand cat, their feet are just fur. They have so much fur on the bottom of their feet, and black fur too, to help them to kind of walk across sand and grip on the sandy areas. So pretty cool adaptations. Let's see, this one really quick. Another cool adaptation. Oops. It's opposite when I look over there. So camels have a pretty cool adaptation for retaining water, right?
Guessing their hump.
Right? What about their hump? Is there water in the hump? Do they store water in that hump?
No.
Right. What is it? What is a hump made out of? Does anybody know?
It's fat.
It is fat, right. So it's kind of a yes and no. So it is fat, but I just learned this weekend. This is pretty cool. So when we breathe out air, we get a lot of water vapor, right? So very right how. There. Right? So we have let out a lot of water vapor when we breathe out. Well, they don't want to do that because they don't want to waste that water. They want to hold everything in. So they have kind of specialized lungs and in their nose, these nasal cavities that actually absorb. So when they breathe in, so at night when it's cooler and the air is a lot more moist, they breathe in that air and the water, and then their lungs and their nose actually kind of pulls the water out of the air, and then it kind of gets absorbed and it goes into the blood, and then it goes into other parts where they can store it in their body and use later. And some of that is in the fat in the humps. So a lot of times if you see a camel and the hump's kind of falling over a little bit, that means they've kind of used up some of the water that was in the fat in their humps. And so it's kind of falling over a little bit. So just learned that this weekend, so I thought that was pretty cool to share. Let's see, what time is it? We're getting there.
So it's 3:59. Sorry. So when the camel breathes out, if they breathed into a mirror, you wouldn't see that moisture,
Yes,
would you?
thank you for that. Yes,
So-
there would be zero moisture. It'd be like you guys can try this at home. Go to a mirror. Wow, where'd that come from? Mirror. Blow on it or breathe on it without a mask on, and then try it with a mask. So with a mask, it'd be like a camel. So they're kind of absorbing all that water vapor so it doesn't come out. And see what happens.
So while you're getting our next friend out,
Yes.
do camels spit?
Yes. That is it's a pretty good way of defending yourself. It's something like a llama too will do it. Yeah, I've been spit on by llamas. Yep. It is not pleasant. It is the most disgusting spit ever. And camels can, it's pretty foul. But it's a good way of defending yourself because you get spit on by one, you're like, oh, it's just the smell. I tell you guys. Yeah, that'll turn you off in a heartbeat. I don't want to eat them. But yes, they do. Good question.
So they're willing to waste some water when they're mad. And then
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it's either, defend themselves.
Right.
Right, so, yeah, good point. That's that kind of nature balance you have to figure out. Do I want to survive, or do I want to, hopefully I can survive another day. But you find out. All right.
So, Nikki, people are saying that was fantastic. Thank you so much. Well done, engaging.
Thank you, guys.
Shout outs to Nikki.
So I'm gonna, before we close up, I'll bring on our last friend.
Hi,
Can you
Kelly.
come out? I want you guys to guess, what habitat do you think this animal lives in?
Oh, it's a hedgehog, it says.
She's gonna slowly wake up,
Maybe.
possibly. So right now she's the pincushion. All right, she's got all her spines showing.
So the
I can
forest
see.
is
There's her
a
name.
guess.
Forest, right? Good guess. Any others?
Forest.
Okay. Anywhere else? Now she's called the hedgehog.
Forest and hedges.
There you go. Anywhere else?
A guess of the desert.
So far, you guys are all right.
Oh my God, look at that little nose.
Can you see that?
Oh my God. Oh,
Oh, there it is.
oh yeah, hi. Oh, look at the little tongue.
Hedges, forest floors,
Yep.
forests.
Yep, you guys are all correct.
Oh.
Hedgehogs in the world live in all kinds of different habitats. They're very well. What are you doing? They're very well adapted for living in just about any habitat. There's desert hedgehogs. There's forest.
She's showing a good size.
What is that? Oh,
This
that's
is
too
overwhelming.
funny. So as you can imagine, she's got a pretty good way of protecting herself. So she's not limited to different habitats. So she can survive in just about most habitats. So she is a nocturnal animal. So coming out at night would help her survive in the desert, because that way it's much cooler up there.
So
So yeah.
what is her name and does she have spikes?
So she is Waffles, Miss Waffles, we call her, and she does have spines, we call her. So, and I just, I don't know why this never stuck in my head. So a lot of people think they're related to porcupines, but they're actually more related to moles and shrews.
Look at the nose and you can
Yeah.
tell. It's so
Yeah, little cute little face. So they look like a big porcupine because of the spikes, but theirs is a little bit different. So theirs are a lot stiffer and harder than a porcupine spike or spine or quill. Is a technical term. So theirs are more spiky or spiny. So yeah. So then they can have around 3,000 spines sticking up, which is a pretty good way of protecting themselves. All right. All right. One last thing, guys. I'm gonna put her back in here.
Bye, Waffles.
Sorry, Waffles. I was trying to get through really quickly, but we got sidetracked.
Now she wakes up.
Really good questions. You guys asked amazing questions. All right. So lots of different habitats. And you guys can actually help scientists because there's habitats everywhere and there's animals everywhere. And so in order to study them, they have to be everywhere, and they can't. So they want to study as many animals as they possibly can and learn as much about them. And that's why they always ask your help. So there's lots of different things you guys can do. You can research some citizen science things that you can do. If you have a phone, which I know just about everybody does, you can go get down get an app called iNaturalist. And you can go in your own backyard, take a walk, do whatever, and take a picture of an animal or a plant even, doesn't even have to be an animal, and you can enter it in there, and you're letting them know, scientists know, hey, I have this living in my area, and it sends a GPS point. And so it's a good way of being able to help scientists know what's out there. So lots of cool things that you guys can do to help scientists learn more about animals and their habitats. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry, I ran over a little bit. Oh, we have some questions?
Name the app one more time. Say it.
iNaturalist. So I, like that, or the letter I, naturalist. So yeah, thank you. Sorry. I don't know if you can kind of see. I'll try to
Happy's
zoom
typing
in.
it into the
Yeah, it's
chat
a little-
so you can see it written.
You can see my kitty. And then the one next to it I love is the Merlin app. So if you want to identify a bird, that's a great app for doing that. And if you want to go to Hobby Lobby, get a coupon, there's your
For
that's
sure.
an app for that.
Yeah.
And Happy says to try Eco Explorer.
Oh yes, Eco Explorer. So that's kind of the local iNaturalist. Look out for a lot of places do bio blitzes, so you can actually go out and help kind of identify what kind of things are around in your area, and you're helping these people. So look for those too. There's lots of cool things you guys can get involved with and helping scientists figure that out. Any other questions?
Nope.
We get them all? All right. Well, you guys asked amazing questions, and I appreciate those. Thank you guys for sticking around for so long. But I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed it. And we're going to come back next week, 3 o'clock, with Steve. He's going to be joining us. He's doing Inside Out.
Dun, dun,
So
dun,
he's going to bring the Inside Out for you guys, whatever that means. And it'll be a surprise. Come on back. You'll like Steve. He's a lot of fun. So, all right, guys. Well, have a great day and enjoy your evening. I guess we're getting close enough. I can say that. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Miss Nikki.
Bye.